First of all, consent me to thank the students coming from the New York University. They asked me to speak about the Pripke case, which is important because underlines how the memory of the war crimes is always present in the mind also of the young people. And the memory is fundamental and was a fundamental key during the judgment against Pribke, because the judgment against Pribke started about 50 years after the facts, after the tragedy, after the crime. But I was the lawyer appointed by the Union of Jewish Community, but it was when we interrogated witness. It was as the testimony was about a fact committed yesterday. So the memory stays alive when you commit a war crime. And this is my first consideration because obviously I am here today, years and years later, to remember that criminal proceeding, which was historically important because showed that this kind of crimes is always remains always in the memory of people. And I think that the same will be in the Ukraine war, the alleged war crimes, the fact that every day every one of us is able to look about what's happening in Ukraine is very important to create the framework where we have to judge in the future these facts. The question is who will judge them, and also in that case, we have to underline that what happened in Rome was fundamental, because some years later, that criminal proceeding in Rome, there was signed by many countries a treaty, the Rome Treaty, in which was constituted the International Court for War Crimes, Genocide, and Crimes against Humanity, and the crime of aggression. This was a very important point because starting from these crimes will be possible to analyze the situation and to judge if the alleged crimes we are seeing we are looking for in Ukraine are in this description of the crime was made by the Roman Treaty. I think that if people will be very careful, very attentive in collecting the proofs of the crimes, it will be possible. I know that the prosecutor of the International Court was requested by Ukraine to go to Ukraine, to send some people to Ukraine to collect proofs about the crimes. And this is very important. And it is always also important to acquire possible witness and for the testimony about the facts. So if people will be able to collect proofs, to collect elements, to prove the liability of someone in these alleged crimes, will be possible to prosecute these crimes. I think that Ukraine authorities will be able to conduct these investigations and to start with the criminal proceeding. But we also have an international entity, which is the International Tribunal for the Crimes Against Humanity. Uh, the Ukraine did not sign the treaty originally, but twice asked the tribunal to be protected by this kind of jurisdiction. So we cannot exclude the possibility for the international tribunal to judge also these crimes. And the fact that the prosecutor of the international tribunal was called by Ukrainians to collect elements, to collect proofs for this related to these crimes is a very important signal, not only of the existence of some elements which are to be collected about war crimes, but also about the willingness to prosecute these crimes, not only by Ukraine people, which is obvious, but also by the international community. This is very important.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Okay, let me introduce you.
Okay.
So I've already explained, I think, what this class is going to be about. Are you filming already? No, you're not. Long time.
Hello.
You haven't started yet.
No.
National scale is corrupt, corruption in public office, and this law is very important in changing that. So today, because of our course is about violence and not about that, I asked if she can speak about her involvement in the trials of Eric Prieka. I think she will give the context of that. You know a bit about that. It's linked to the killing of 335 people in Rome on March 24th, 1944, by the SS, by the Germans, and much later, I think 1994, is that right? So 50 years later, Eric Prieka was extradited, he was identified in Argentina. He was effectively the second in command of that operation. He was extradited to Italy and put on trial. I won't say any more about it because I think that Paola Severino will give more context and talk about it. But she will speak in English, and then there's, I hope, to be plenty of time for discussion. We can even go beyond that case to anything else we want to talk about. We have over an hour. So over to you. Thank you.
These meetings in New York, he told me, oh yes, you have to speak about the Prieka case. And so we agreed on that, and you agreed also on that. And the fact that a prestigious institution like New York University has an entire department devoted to Italian studies, including a course on such an important topic, attempting to understand the historical reasons for the political ideas and to increase our capacity to react to the crimes or to analyze all the phenomena if we are able to share between our ideas and to speak about the Rome, who was appointed as vice president of this Council of Military Justice many years ago it happened. So I was really the first one. But always, no one was carried out in Rome the day before, on the 23rd of March, by the local resistance in which third were to be executed. And I would like to underline something which seems irrelevant, but it is important to show how irrelevant was for the Italian people, Nazists. What happened in March 1944, culminating in the Via Rasella attack by the resistance, must therefore be viewed against that historic unjustified. The tragic and totally disproportionate and criminal decision was to execute 10 Italian citizens for over 33 German soldiers. And this is where the role of Erich Priebke comes into play. A man who, as you know, was a Nazi officer on duty in Rome. Immediately after the Via Rasella attack, the officers in command of the German army occupying Rome and many Jewish prisoners. They were totally innocent, they were in prison, but because they were considered politically enemy, the cold bookkeeping of the massacre, forming the groups of 5 people who, bit by bit, are escorted to the Adriatic cave and then lived quietly in the Bariloche area of Patagonia for over 40 years with his wife and the rest of his family. Neither Italian nor German authorities nor anyone else ever searched for him. We find this in this story. And it is precisely the American reporters who managed to track down and interview Priebke's extradition in 1995. The trial can then finally begin after more than 50 years. Priebke is called to answer for the seal and asks to view the archives housed at Palazzo Cesi in Rome, where several bodies of the Italian military justice system are based.